Hey guys, it's James here with Druid City Games in the Board Game Spotlight, and today we are checking out Saga of the Northmen by Minion Games. This game is a 2 to 4 player. It plays in 30 to 40 minutes, and it is by Scott Liebrandt. And so the biggest thing about this game that I think is most interesting is its small footprint mixed with the introductory streamlined rules of an area control game. We're going to jump into a little bit of a playthrough and overview in a minute, but I really wanted to touch on some of the things that I think that stand out about this game. Its small footprint, I think, allows you to be able to quickly set the game up, break it down, play the game, and introduce people to the game quickly. It has only 4 or 5 real pages of rules, so you're able to learn the game and teach the game quickly to anyone who might want to try the game out.
So here we are down at the table. Let's dive right into the game. So what you'll notice right away is you've got the kingdoms that you're going to be trying to put your influence out on. And then you've got the neutral areas that where all the plunder is going to go, where you're going to move and do your battles. And so the main setup for the players are your influence cubes. You have 3 heroes that you could place. You have this time token, which I'll explain that in a moment. You're going to have your influence cards, first player token. The game is going to be set up with your influence cards. You're going to have a 3 face up that you could choose from when you draw back up. Each round, 15 plunder is going to hit the board. As soon as that is been distributed to the board, that is when the round goes into the next phase. On your infamy track, you've got a couple of options here. You can carry a card over to the next round because you lose all of the cards in your hand at the end of a round. You can draw 2 trade routes. I'll explain a trade route in a second. And keep 1. You could place a chieftain cube, which is your hero cubes, or you could play a time token, which are very strategic based off how you laid out your influence on the board. Okay, so let's take a look real quick. Let's jump into the trade routes. The trade routes work like this. So if you control the area that these are attached to, the kingdom, and at the end of the marching phase, you control the neutral area, you score the points face up of the trade route. So essentially you have conquered the 2 areas that needed to show the control. Okay, and these are super, super important for this game. I played my first game, and I didn't get a good setup on those, and so I didn't put a lot of effort into them. And I got crushed by people who did. And you should be trying to lock down some trade routes every round, like out of all 3. Might be tough the first time you're playing as you get used to it, but you definitely want to lock those down and get some of those going. Okay, so on your turn, you're going to have cards in your hand, which I just dropped some on the floor, which is awesome. So you've got army, and you're going to have boats. And so depending on the number is how many influence cubes you get to put out. And then at the bottom, the neutral area is where you're going to put the plunder. So if I was to play this card, I would play 1 cube on Byzantines, and I would pull plunder and place it on Africa. Now, if we were playing a 4-player game, this is telling you not to place the plunder then. So then I would be able to choose either one of these 3 face up. If I didn't want or care about those 3, I could draw from here. Now, on my next turn, it goes around until all the plunder's gone. So let's dive into the army and the boats. So the boats give you some real strategic advantage when you're placing your influence cubes. So when you get ready to march, let's say you had 3 up here in the regions, they can go anywhere on the board that touches the sea. There's only 2 landlocked areas, and that is Poland and the Holy Roman Empire. And so when you're done with the phase where you're marching, you're going to pull up whoever wins the country. Okay, let's just say it looked like this up here. Red has the advantage. Red would win. So green would take their cubes back, and when you lose influence, they go back to and they score as infamy later. So it's kind of a nice catch-up mechanic that allows, even though it's not totally wasted when you put your influence cubes out on the board, they come back to you as infamy if you don't win. But now you'd be able to take these that match, and you'd say, okay, So I played these three. Two of them were a boat. One was an army. So with these two, I can go to any sea touching area to try to win that area with these cubes. Okay, and then with the army, you would have to just move to where you can move adjacent. The interesting part is how these roll out down in order. So you start first with the Normans. So if you had won the Normans' kingdom, they would go first, and you would distribute these based off the cards that you played and what's available with the plunder and how you want to try to take over. So you've got two things going on. So there might be a neutral area next to you or that you want because you want to win the plunder. Because at the end of the game, you're just trying to have the most plunder. That's how you win. So you might want this for plunder. So you may want to move some of your influence here or all of it. Or you may have a trade route that you're trying to accomplish, Normans and Italy. Well, you want to have control of that at the end too. So it does present some interesting choices on how you want to try to score points, because that's 4 points at the end of the game, and then trade routes are worth points right away. The other piece that's important to remember is that you could play for 5 infamy a time token. So if I was to play my 1 time token, if I had control of the Norman area, I could say I'm going to pay my 5 infamy and I am going to wait to distribute and move my influence out on the board. The reason this is important, obviously, is because as you spread the influence out, you can see what the situation looks like. So there's bigger advantage here to go last to see where you can try to get a win at, because the battle is not complicated whatsoever. It is whoever has the most influence straight up. Now the only thing that really affects that is the heroes. The heroes count as an influence, but they also break ties. So, for instance, if blue had 3 and a hero in the Holy Roman, and then red had moved all 4 there, this counts as 1 and breaks the tie. So they're pretty advantageous to have those out if you can get them out. So blue would win that straight up right there. The game plays in the 3 rounds just like that. So as the plunder goes out in the influence phase, then you march, everybody, you decide who wins the 7 kingdoms, and then those cubes are the only thing that stay out on the board, and then you do the march phase, and everybody in this order moves their cubes around as they want. Then whoever has the most influence in the area gets to take that plunder home. So blue would take that, that's theirs. Everybody retrieves their cubes. These, if you lose a march battle, they do not go back to infamy. They just go back to your supply. And that is the game. It plays fast. It plays quick. If you were playing this with 2 other people and you'd played it before, you could probably play this game in 20, 30 minutes. It's really good in that it's streamlined. The rules are simple, but there are still some interesting choices and some interesting things to do on how to spend your infamy and then how to spread your influence out on the board to try to get the trade routes completed versus just trying to get as much plunder as you possibly can. I think that's it, and let's go back out to the final wrap up. All right, guys, thanks.
So it has some great little mechanic choices that, is what I feel like is most important about every game. Does it have dynamic choices? And so with the trade route cards mixed with the plunder that's available on the board, you have to decide, am I going to really move my influence to the areas where I want to complete this trade route, or am I going to go after this big pile of loot that's sitting here? There's a lot of plunder over in Africa, and I'm going to go grab it. Or there's a trade route that I want to complete to Italy, but my choices, what am I going to do? Or can I somehow thread the needle and do both? So the other part I think is really interesting is the catch-up mechanic. So as you play that influence and it gets down on the board and you lose an area, that influence cubes come back to your infamy track. Well, that gives you more buying power for some of the more complicated rule set parts in the game, where you can delay your the time tokens, and then playing heroes when you play an influence card. Like, those are some really powerful moves, and I've seen a couple times that I've played the game, whoever loses that influence battle bounces back the next round and gets a big advantage. So, there's a nice little mix there of, do I spend it? Do I try for the one that I need? Can I get the cards that I need because I've got these 2 trade routes that I really want to try to complete? It's really, really streamlined and fun in that way. It's not as deep as, say, a Lords of Waterdeep or some of your other worker placement area control, not like a Blood Rage like this back over here, anything like that. But I enjoy that part of it, that it's streamlined. I can throw it down and play it. I can teach it to I know it says 12 and up on it, but I've played it with my 8-year-old. He didn't have any problem. Now, he didn't get all the strategies, but, he still had fun. So I would say for this game, it's a great little game. Throw it in your collection. It's Minion Games. So that's it for this week. This week, Saga of the Northmen by Minion Games. This is a fun little game. Check it out. Watch the video. Make sure that you like, subscribe, do all those things to follow the group. And make sure to enter the contest. This week's new. It's going to have the Gleam app, so you'll log in. You'll do as many actions as you like to have that many chances to win. And then that'll be it for this week. So, guys, again, thank you. It's James here with the Board Game Spotlight in Druid City Games. It's been fun. See you next time. Game on.